Tucker Carlson recently made an appearance with Turning Point USA at Indiana University.
The former Fox News host took questions on a wide range of topics. At one point, a student accused Carlson of hypocrisy for previously stating in a text message that he passionately hated President Trump.
Now, Carlson responded by saying he's not proud of all of his old beliefs and can admit when he's wrong.
I supported the Iraq War pretty vehemently. I supported the nomination of a Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett. That was like a huge mistake. Sorry. I think not what I thought she was. I support John Roberts. I support, what's the list of dumb things I've supported in my life is very long. I think I've learned something from those mistakes.
That response wasn't good enough for the student he was debating, with whom further accused Carlson of spreading disinformation and not being sincere in his belief. That's when things did get heated.
The amount of influence that you carried.
So you don't agree. Look, you don't agree with my views.
No, that's not what I'm getting at.
Okay, so you're saying my views are insincere?
No, we disagree. Yes, I truly doubt your sincerity, and I think at this point in your career,
then that's your problem.
I'm trying to understand it because it makes no sense. Like, you're worth $50 million.
I'm not worth $50 million.
30 to 50.
Get off the internet, son. Don't stop believing that stuff.
The text message that the student was initially referring to was made public after a defamation lawsuit by Dominion Voting Systems against Fox News. Carlson explained he sent the message because he was frustrated with the Trump administration at the time as they were promoting claims about dead people voting in the 2020 election. Carlson and Fox News initially ran with those claims until they were debunked. Shortly after Carlson's text messages were made public, Fox News canceled his show.
Some pro-Israel users were apparently not too happy that Carlson took the stage, but journalist Glenn Greenwald noticed this and wrote on X, "The rage that this TPUSA event provoked in the replies is as predictable as it is dumb. How dare you platform an Israel critic like Tucker?" Charlie himself invited Tucker to speak at the most recent TP event and even lost pro-Israel donors due to his refusal to stop. And that was really the angle of this I wanted to discuss. There was pressure on Turning Point USA, on Charlie Kirk, to disassociate from some of his friends who have more opposed to Israel's policies, including Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Charlie was working through how to navigate changing views of Israel on the right. His organization is front and center at that because it's an organization that works with young people, young conservatives, who I have noticed are very, very opposed to Israel's actions, very opposed to continuing U.S. support for Israel. And I thought Charlie was handling this totally fine. This is the kind of thing, if you're an effective head of an organization, you have to deal with, is managing donors, pressure from donors, obviously giving donors what they want. You can't just, as an organization, say, we're not going to give our donors what they want, then they're not going to be your donors anymore. But managing their expectations, managing the expectations of your members, and support the mission you believe in, and it can be tough, and I think he was doing a great job with it, and I'm glad that that Turning Point wants to continue being a big enough tent where you can have commentators who are more friendly to Israel, and then commentators who very much disagree with what it's doing, and I think that's good. So the idea that Tucker should not, I mean, Tucker's one of the most popular and powerful speakers on the right, that one student, notwithstanding, he's extremely popular at these events. He emerged onto the stage with, escorted by his dogs to clapping and applause, and it would be ludicrous not to include him in these events, in my view.
Well, you know why it's a big deal. Megyn Kelly talked about this recently on her podcast. A lot of people were trying to bash her for still being friends with Tucker Carlson, which she defended their friendship very specifically, and then even aligning or not bashing Candace Owens. And she said, I don't want to do that.
Candace should be bashed.
Well, either way, Megyn Kelly felt strongly about those things, and for the same reasons. It's because they had different views about the handling of the U.S.-Israel relationship in context to what's going on with Gaza and Israel. I think I've learned more about Turning Point USA. I've always known about the organization, but watched some of the debates from Charlie Kirk and things as we've gotten caught up in the latest headlines and how it's been the headline of our news for so many weeks. I've learned about the organization. And so my biggest question is, as we watch what was supposed to be created by Charlie Kirk being the leader of like civilized discourse with people that disagree with you, Tucker Carlson up there cursing students out or people out, he said, I watched the whole thing, he called him annoying a few times, like, isn't it supposed to be civilized? Is he missing the civilized part of the discourse? Or did I not watch enough of them I must have just watched the civilized one?
I think he was civil with the guy asking the question up to a point.
So you can't be people can't be critical.
Well, you're allowed to get flustered. No, I thought
he said you're flip-flopping a little bit. He really called him out on some past actions. And
he said he was flip-flopping, and Tucker said, no, I've sincerely changed my mind. Here are examples of things I was wrong about that I thought that I no longer believe. And then the student was like, well, you're insincere. And Tucker's like, oh, I don't know how to prove to you I'm sincere. I've sincerely changed my views. And then tries to explain why he's explained many times why he changed his view of the Iraq War and some other things.
Well, the student
was like, no, I don't believe you, and you're rich. And then Tucker was like, well, F you, man. That's fine.
And I think the student was trying to understand the connection of the election. Like, Tucker Carlson went on a very distinct, what I would describe as a rampage about the election being stolen in connection to these dead voters happening. You know that whole story with the New Dominion lawsuit. And so do you think that the election was stolen? Do you not? You're mad at President Trump because you feel like you were also one of those people who were bamboozled by the idea that the election was stolen by fake voters, which turned out to be completely untrue. So the person in the audience is asking a real question.
Many in the right to skewer Sidney Powell and her claims. He put her on his show and let her ramble her incoherent, totally wrong, and then so, well, where's the evidence for what you're saying? You haven't produced any of it. And she's like, oh, it's coming. That evidence is coming. And he's like, look later. He did an effective.
But he said he hated in the text message. He said he hated the president.
God, liberals are so.
No, I'm asking you a question. I'm not a liberal. I literally said he hated the president. So do you love him now? Where do you stand? Like the president still feels the election was stolen. So connect the dots for the audience member. Do you hate the man or do you like him now? And just get over the fact that you were misled about the election, which was wholly not stolen. Speak on it. He needs to answer the question. That he shouldn't be riled up by somebody asking a very direct and specific question. And if for somebody to say he doesn't believe you, you can't get offended by that. If you're trying to live like Charlie Kirk, get into the argument, get into the debate. And don't curse the audience member out.
He changed his mind about Trump about how he feels
about hating
Trump.
him.
And what he meant, I'm sure.
Oh, because you're in his head. Here we go. Spin it for me. Get it like the dryer, shoe in the dryer.
He hated. This was during the whole election of 2020 kerfuffle, and he hated being in the position, as many on the right did and still do, of having to defend or make excuses for or play ball with very embarrassing goings-on. That's what he hated.
Fine.
That's a view I've expressed.
You know what?
And many
I will liken that statement.
It wasn't a personal dislike of Trump. It was a dislike of Trump was making it really hard to be a fan of Trump at the time.
You know when I explained to you what the actual definition of defund the police is, and you just weren't accepting it, but I'm telling you that's my perspective of how I saw it. This is exactly how I feel about what you're saying right now.
But defund the police was a workshop slogan for an activist
disagree,
group,
which meant move allocated resources to other parts of the police department, not only in combative police. So the same way that, and we can go, this is taking us in a whole other direction, which we could do it in another segment.
If I said defund the police in a private text
you'd be like, oh, you're spinning it, you're spinning it,
that's not what I meant.
And I'm telling you, no, that's what I'm telling you what I think he meant. So you're telling me what you think he meant, so fine. What I read is hated. So it's all what the audience member read was hated. So we're just trying to understand.
Sometimes in private correspondence that you don't think is ever going to be read by someone else, you might exaggerate. You might say something that you don't exactly mean.
I hope you don't talk that way about me in your private correspondence.
Activists, I would not want my text messages
about me.
Not about you. About anyone, I would not want what made public because things would be stripped of context. And I'll tell you right now, I would say if somebody ever got my phone and just published all of my text messages, I'd just say that's all lies. I said that's manipulated. I would just say it's all manipulated.
Okay, well,
regardless.
If you guys see Robbie's phone missing here after the commercial break, don't say anything. Maine Senate candidate Graham Flatner is in hot water over a tattoo. We'll be right back.